Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I'm your host, Neil Johnson, with a fun report for you, because anytime Jake Tapper and CNN have to admit that Trump was right, well, it's a glorious day in America. So do me a favor, smash that like button if you would. Subscribe if you're new, and check out my sponsor, MyPillow. That's right, mypillow.com/lumberjack for big savings on the best sleep products available. So we have a situation where Bukele was in the White House yesterday. I shared a video about that yesterday, but they're saying, hey, the Supreme Court says you have to ship this guy back to the United States. And Bukele's like, well, I don't have to send this guy back to the United States. And then they're telling Trump, you have to take him out of El Salvador. And Trump's like, what, you expect me to just tell the government of El Salvador we're taking this guy back when they want him in prison? So they're playing hot potato with him, which is quite humorous, actually. So we have this MS-13 gang member who we're supposed to take back. Now, I want you to think about the lunacy of this. We've gotten him out of the country. He's back in prison in his country of origin, but we're supposed to take him back. They're telling us that the Supreme Court ruled that way. Check this out.
And President Trump and President Bukele made it clear that Abrego Garcia will not be returned to the United States, despite this U.S. Supreme Court ruling saying that Trump had to facilitate his return. So are they just ignoring a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, or is the fact that the ruling was so mushy, in your words,
yes,
giving him an opening?
It's a technical term I learned in law school, Jake. Mushy. Look, they're working within the ambiguity that the Supreme Court justices gave them.
So this is so great. They were mushy. Why were they mushy? Well, because Article 2 states that all executive power is vested in a president, and he gets to oversee these things such as immigration and deportation. And no, illegals do not have the same rights that American citizens do. Now, people do have rights under our Constitution, interestingly enough, who are not citizens. But on issues of citizenship and deportation, that power is vested in the president. That's why the Supreme Court is so reticent to cross this line. So they just say facilitate.
They did not order the administration to return him to the United States. They said that they need to facilitate this return. They could have said, we order him returned, but they didn't do that.
Okay, this is so great, and actually gives me some respect for this Paula Reed lady, the legal affairs correspondent for CNN, because she's actually playing this straight, which is so cool. Now, we've been told in the media that Trump was ordered by the court to go to El Salvador, pick this guy up, and bring him back, okay? Trump was ordered. That's what we were told. That's what the mainstream media said day after day after day. But the reality is, he wasn't told that. They were just told to facilitate it, because they're not going to order the president to go down there and get him.
So you heard the Attorney General. She was being very careful in the Oval Office when she was asked, would you help? She says, of course, we'd provide a plane, right? Thereby facilitating whatever El Salvador is doing. The Supreme Court appeared to defer to the executive branch, given that this is an international matter. And you see, yes, it does look a little bit like a semantic game, but they are playing within the bounds of what the Supreme Court ruled. So no, they are not defying this order.
Jake Tapper, honestly, if you watch his face during this, looks visibly disappointed, because he wants to believe that the court ordered Trump to go down there and get him. This is so crazy to me. These leftists are actually pushing the idea that we need to go get gang members from a prison that we've gotten them out of the country. We literally got them out of the country. Trump did what he said he was going to do. This is a 90-10 issue. This is what we elected him to do. And now they're trying to do this. It blows my mind. I don't understand. They're not going to get 90-10, folks. It's 90-10. They're not going to win on this one. But nonetheless, Jake is obviously disappointed, and he's having to learn that Trump is actually right in what he's doing. And the great thing, too, is Pam Bondi is playing this well. She's like, oh, certainly, we can send a plane down there. But Bukele's playing right along, and he's saying, what, do you want me to send this guy back to the United States? If you polled American citizens right now, we don't want criminal gang members here in the United States. Period.
And take a listen to how White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller views it.
And a district court judge tried to tell the administration that they had to kidnap a citizen of El Salvador and fly him back here. That issue was raised with the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said the district court order was unlawful, and its main components were reversed 9-0 unanimously, stating clearly that neither Secretary of State, nor the President could be compelled by anybody to forcibly retrieve a citizen of El Salvador.
Stephen, you got the win. I don't know why he had to go so far.
I'll tell you why he had to go so far. Because he had to dunk this one. Because it's out of control. It's been reported for 4 days that they were completely wrong on this, that the Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to go back and get this guy. So he had to dunk on it.
Because what he's saying is not completely accurate. No, I talked to the kid. I was like, all right. So the district court said that the administration needed to facilitate and effectuate the return of this man to the United States and gave a date. The Supreme Court says, yes, you need to facilitate this. But when it comes to effectuating, making it happen, they said this needs to go back down to the lower court. They need to clarify what that meant. And they warned the lower court, you need to be deferential to the executive branch because we're talking about foreign affairs. And they gave no deadline. So again, they're not running afoul, but Stephen's summary of the case there, the holding, it's not exactly accurate.
All right, Paula Reed, thanks so much. Appreciate it. With us now.
So again, Pam Bondi's going on, oh, sure, we'll facilitate. Yeah, we've got planes, but they're not going to effectuate it. They're not going to actually do it because they don't have to. And this is where the Supreme Court said you have to defer to the executive branch because, again, Article 2. All executive power vested in a president. So we're dealing with foreign affairs. That's the president's job. It's not a district court judge's job. The other lie that we were consistently told by the media is that this was an error from the Trump administration. So let's hear what Stephen Miller has to say about this error.
When the media talks about the idea that there was a mistaken removal, it implies to, I think, a normal listener that the wrong person was sent somewhere. He's an illegal alien from El Salvador. Where was he sent? To El Salvador. Where does he belong? In El Salvador. He belongs.
Sending someone home and sending them into a prison that they can remain.
It is up to El Salvador how to handle the process for their own citizens. Again, what you seem to be asking us to do is to change the government and the laws of El Salvador. So if we deport somebody back to, for example, Syria, should we be closely involved on a day-to-day basis with the Syrian government, detailing that person's life and future? If we deport, say, 100,000 people back to Haiti, should we open a case file on each of those 100,000 people and ask every day, what's their housing situation? What's their healthcare situation? What might they need? What might they want?
Do you see how crazy this all gets? I mean, the lunacy of the left to try to push this on us that somehow we're supposed to not deport the people in the first place. And then when we deport them, we're supposed to be upset about the prisons of that country. We've got enough going on in our own country to worry about. The reality is these illegals never should have been here in the first place. They need to go home. And they're trying to constantly show us family photos and make us feel this bad for this guy and he's his father. Okay, look, I'm a father. I understand that. So send them all back together. Right? Isn't that what Tom Homan and Trump said before? Just send the whole family back. Don't separate the family. Send them back to their country of origin because they're not supposed to be here.
Once someone's out of our country, that becomes the problem of their host country, not our country. These people chose to invade us. So there's a lot of concern from the corporate media about the invaders, but they chose to invade us. It's our responsibility to return them back to where they came from or another country willing to take them.
One of the things I appreciate so much about Stephen Miller is his use of language. They chose to invade us. They're the invaders. We send them back to their country of origin. This is so simple. Do you know what else is simple? Rev 7 energy drinks, folks. Constantly giving you the energy you need, the brain clarity, the mental focus. It's Mike Lindell's newest product. He's so proud of it. Go check it out. mypillow.com/lumberjack or call the 800 number 1-800-568-2865. See you in the next episode. Peace out.